Number 1, Tiger Woods' mysterious bounce, 2000 PGA Championship. The 2000 PGA Championship at Valhalla Golf Club was already the kind of duel golf fans dream about. Tiger Woods was at the absolute peak of his powers, chasing history. Bob May was the underdog, matching him shot for shot. The atmosphere was tense, the gallery was massive. The cameras caught every angle, or at least they were supposed to. Then came the shot that still fuels one of the sport's strangest theories. In the final round on the par 4 10th hole, Tiger hit a drive that veered left toward the trees. The TV broadcast tracked the ball until it vanished behind a patch of rough and a small bush. The next moment, almost magically, the ball was bouncing back into a perfect lie in the fairway. Even the CBS commentator sounded surprised. The replay didn't clear anything up. You saw the ball go in, you saw the ball come out. What happened in between was blocked from view. That tiny blind spot became a breeding ground for suspicion. Some fans have long believed that a spectator, in the rush of the moment, kicked or moved the ball into a better position. A few even claim you can see subtle movement in the crowd before the ball reappears. Others point to the way the ball came back, at just the right angle with just enough speed, as too perfect to be a natural bounce. Tournament officials never investigated. Bob May never publicly accused anyone. Tiger went on to win in a 3-hole playoff, locking in his 3rd major of the year and adding to his legend. But the incident has never quite disappeared from golf conversations. Golf Digest revisited the moment in 2025, interviewing fans who were at Valhalla that day. No one admitted to touching the ball, but several said they had a clear line of sight, and in their words, something was off. 2 decades later, it remains one of those sports mysteries where the footage just leaves enough space for doubt. Number 2, how viewers once changed tournament outcomes. In most sports, once the officials miss a call, it's gone. Golf, for years, had a different problem. Before the rules changed in 2017, a TV viewer could spot a rules violation, call the tournament office, and actually get a player penalized, sometimes hours after the fact. The most famous example came at a 2017 A&A Inspiration when Lexi Thompson was leading on Sunday. A viewer had noticed the day before that she incorrectly replaced her ball on a green. Officials reviewed the footage mid-round, assessed her a 4-stroke penalty, and told her on the 13th tee. She went from 2 ahead to 2 behind in seconds. It wasn't just the LPGA. Over the years, several PGA Tour players, including Patrick Harrington and Dustin Johnson, had been hit with post-round penalties after a phone-in tip from someone watching at home. Critics said it created an unfair advantage for players in the featured TV groups because only their mistakes were broadcast in high definition for millions to see. The backlash grew so loud that golf's governing bodies finally shut the system down. In 2017, the USGA and R&A announced that call-in and email reports from viewers would no longer be accepted. They also introduced the naked eye standard. If a rules official couldn't reasonably spot the infraction without zoomed-in replay, it wouldn't count as a penalty. Even with the change, the term trial by television still lingers as a warning. It's a reminder that golf once allowed strangers sitting on a couch thousands of miles away to alter the outcome of a major championship. Number 3, the superstar effect. It's one thing to be beaten by a great player. It's another to lose before the round even starts. Economists studying PGA Tour data between 1999 and 2010 found something remarkable. When Tiger Woods was in the field, especially during his prime, other golfers played worse. Not just slightly worse, but measurably so, nearly 1 stroke higher per round on average. The effect was strongest among players paired with Tiger or starting near him on the tee sheet. The researchers called it the superstar effect. The theory's simple. In golf, unlike in team sports, you're competing directly against every other player's score. When a dominant figure like Tiger was at his peak, the gap between him and the rest of the field was so intimidating that some players subconsciously lowered their expectations. Instead of aiming to win, they aimed to play well enough for a decent finish. That tiny drop in momentum multiplied over 4 rounds meant worse scores. Even seasoned professionals admitted it. Sergio Garcia once said that trying to beat Tiger in his prime felt like trying to run a race against a motorcycle. Phil Mickelson noted that Tiger's aura wasn't just about his shots. It was the gallery, the cameras, and the pressure he brought with him. Every birdie from Tiger echoed through the course. Every mistake from an opponent felt bigger. The numbers backed it up. Tiger skipped tournaments due to injury. The average scores of top 25 players improved. When he returned, they dipped again. It's one of the rare instances where psychology and performance data meet perfectly. Today, with Tiger no longer dominating every event, the effect has faded, but at his peak, he didn't just beat players with skill, he beat them with presence. Number 4, PGA Tour versus LIV Golf. When LIV Golf launched in 2022, it was billed as a rival league, flush with Saudi Arabian money and designed to disrupt professional golf's traditional order. The PGA Tour's pushback was immediate and fierce, suspending players, banning them from certain events, and launching a PR offensive about the integrity and tradition of the game. On the surface, it was a straightforward turf war. Beneath it, some believe the motives ran deeper. The PGA Tour isn't just a sports league, it's a non-profit corporation that generates hundreds of millions in revenue through TV rights, sponsorships, and tournament hosting fees. Its media partners, including networks with long-standing contracts, had every reason to keep top talent under the PGA banner. The breakaway league threatened not just ratings, but the structure of the entire professional schedule. Phil Mickelson, one of LIV's early recruits, accused the PGA Tour of manipulating the system to control player earnings. Emails and leaked documents hinted at behind-the-scenes conversations between tour executives and sponsors, urging them to avoid LIV-associated players. Some critics even suggested that the PGA's public moral stance, according to Saudi Arabia's human rights record, was as much about leverage as it was about ethics. In 2023, the situation took another twist. Reports surfaced that the PGA Tour was in talks with the Saudi Public Investment Fund to form a joint venture. The same organization they'd spent a year criticizing now looked like a potential business partner. Many players felt blindsided. Fans accused both sides of hypocrisy. The deal hasn't been finalized, but the saga's already rewritten how professional golf operates. For some, it's a classic case of business trumping principle. For others, it's proof that in modern sports, rivalries can be as much about money and media control as they are about competition. Number 5, hidden deals control PGA player schedules. On paper, professional golfers have total control over their schedules. They pick the events, they choose the equipment, they decide when to rest and when to grind. But talk to enough caddies, ex-players, or insiders, and you'll hear a different story. Sometimes it's the sponsors calling the shots. Quietly, carefully, but unmistakably. This theory says certain players are effectively locked into schedules that aren't about winning, they're about visibility. A club manufacturer wants their guy swinging their driver in a big market, he's there. A bank sponsor wants a presence at a tournament in a country where they're trying to grow. Suddenly, a player who's never set foot there is teeing it up, smiling for photos, and burning a week of the season. The whispers get more interesting when you look at players whose form seems to nosedive after a big sponsorship change. One year they're contending at majors, the next they're halfway across the world grinding in mid-tier events that don't fit their style. The theory says those suggested appearances eat up practice time, wreck travel rhythm, and force them into golf courses that don't suit their game, all in the name of brand presence. The top 25 player signs with a new equipment company, suddenly changes his ball and driver, and immediately starts showing up to smaller events the brand is sponsoring. A player in contention for the FedEx Cup skips a lucrative U.S. event to play somewhere with a fraction of the purse, but the main sponsor's logo just happens to match the one on his hat. Sponsorship contracts can have soft obligations buried deep in the fine print. They won't outright force a player to go somewhere, but they make it clear that it would be appreciated. For mid-tier players, saying no isn't easy. That sponsorship money might be the biggest guaranteed check of the year. Elite pros have the leverage to reject anything that hurts performance. Rory McIlroy isn't flying to a random event just because someone asked nicely. It's possible fans just notice weird scheduling more when a player's struggling. Still, when a player's calendar starts looking like a marketing plan instead of a competitive schedule, the theory practically writes itself. It's golf, but with a corporate leash. Number 6, the quiet injury cover-ups. Golf is built on the idea of transparency. You play your own ball, you call your own penalties, you face the music when you mess up. But in the world of player health, there's a theory that says injuries are being hidden more often than anyone admits. The logic is simple. Sponsors, the tour, and even the players themselves have reasons to keep certain injuries under wraps. Wrist flare-up? If the public hears about it, questions start flying, odds shift in betting markets, and sponsors get nervous about performance clauses. Back tightness? Admit it, and suddenly you're being asked about it every press conference instead of talking about your game. The theory's core is this. When you see a player's game completely collapse, short drives, missing short putts, avoiding certain shots, it's not just bad form. It's a physical issue they're hiding to protect value, image, or both. Players withdrew mid-round with illness but returned the next week looking stiff and limited. Quiet off-season surgeries that only come to light months later, often buried in an interview. Long streaks of poor play from otherwise consistent pros, followed by the reveal that they were nursing a major injury the whole time. It's not just about ego either. The PGA Tour is a money machine. Keeping stars' names in the field boosts ticket sales, TV numbers, and sponsorship deals. If a marquee player admits to a torn ligament, that can tank the hype for weeks or months of events. Golf swing mechanics are brutal on the body. Back, knee, and wrist injuries are constant risks, even for the fittest players. The sport doesn't have mandatory injury reporting like the NFL or NBA. Players can simply choose not to share. A bad round can look a lot like a painful one. Players do sometimes announce injuries, which muddies the conspiracy. But if you've ever watched a world-class player suddenly swing like they're trying not to wake a sleeping baby, you can't help but think, maybe it's not bad form. Maybe it's the kind of thing they're paid not to talk about. Number 7, Phil Mickelson and the insider trading web. Phil Mickelson's 2014 headline wasn't about golf trophies or clutch putts. It was about money, secrets, and the kind of headlines that read like a crime novel. That year, the FBI and the SEC started investigating suspicious stock trades in Dean Foods. The numbers were big. Mickelson had made $931,000 in profits from those trades. The tip, investigators claimed, came through Billy Walters, one of the most famous and most feared sports bettors in America. Walters wasn't just a guy placing bets on Sunday football. He had a reputation for operating in the shadows, winning millions through calculated risks and insider connections. Mickelson avoided criminal charges, but he wasn't in the clear. The government named him a relief defendant, meaning that they believed he profited from illegal information, even if they weren't charging him with the crime itself. He had to pay back every dollar of profit, plus another $105,000 in interest. That's where the official story ends. But the rumors, they go much deeper. They say Mickelson had built up serious gambling debts to Walters over the years, debts big enough to pull him into risky financial deals. In this version of the story, the Dean Foods stock move wasn't an isolated trade. It was part of a bigger tangled arrangement between the two men. A few even go further, suggesting Mickelson may have used bets as a way to move money, either to pay off his debts or to keep certain transactions away from the public eye. These whispers got louder after Mickelson's open criticism of the PGA Tour and his leap to LIV Golf, a league backed by Saudi Arabia's public investment fund. Some argue it wasn't just about shaking up golf tradition or chasing higher prize money. They think it was about cash. Fast, massive, and guaranteed cash that could cover a lifetime of gambling losses or rebuild his financial cushion. No one's ever proven these bigger accusations, but the story still hangs in the air. It gives Mickelson's career an extra shadow, one that isn't about missed putts or aging performance, but about high-stakes gambling, dangerous connections, and a balancing act between fortune and disaster. Number 8, Jordan Spieth's UFO distraction. Jordan Spieth's 2016 Masters collapse is already legendary in golf. He had the green jacket within reach, then one hole, Augusta National's tricky par 3 12th, turned his dream into a nightmare. His tee shot landed in Rays Creek. The second one barely made it onto the grass before rolling back, and the scorecard showed a quadruple bogey. But the internet found something strange when replaying the broadcast. Just as Spieth takes his swing, a small glowing orb seems to flicker into the frame. To most, it's nothing, maybe a camera lens flare or a glint of sunlight. But to a certain group of fans, it was proof of something much stranger. Here's the theory. That orb wasn't light at all. It was a UFO. It wasn't there by chance. The theory's roots are simple. Nobody could believe Spieth, one of the most precise players in the game, would mentally unravel that badly without some kind of bizarre interference. Some think the object was part of a government experiment. Some say it was a drone meant to distract him. The wildest believe it was actual extraterrestrial contact. The conspiracy crowd points to a quirky fact about Spieth himself. In interviews, he's admitted to asking President Barack Obama if aliens are real during a golf round. To them, that wasn't a throwaway question. It was proof he's interested in, or even connected to, the idea of life beyond Earth. Was the orb a random light glitch? Maybe. Was it a prank? Could be. Slow-motion replays keep the mystery alive, especially because you can see Spieth's eyes and head shift just slightly mid-swing, almost like he noticed something. From there, the story took on a life of its own. Some meme in Augusta's close encounter. Others treat it like a serious piece of sports mystery, replaying the footage frame by frame as if they're studying a Zapruder film. It's become one of golf's weirdest modern legends, not not because people think aliens ruined Spieth's Masters, because the possibility's just strange enough to keep people talking. In the end, it doesn't matter whether you believe in the UFO theory or not. The collapse was real, the orb was real, and for a small but committed corner of golf fandom, those two facts are forever linked.